I went to college in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and back in 2004, we didn't have a statewide ban on smoking in restaurants and bars. And when my friends would have birthday parties or events, I often wouldn't go because they would go to places that still allowed smoking. And keep in mind, in 2004, you couldn't easily Google a place to find out if they still allowed smoking. You had to call them. Sometimes I just didn't want to put up with the hassle of calling multiple places, so I just wouldn't go. One time, one of my classmates was nagging me to go with them, and so I picked up the phone to call the restaurant, and I told my friend that I couldn't go because they allowed smoking. I think at the time this particular restaurant would allow it in certain hours, after a certain hour or something like that. And as soon as I spoke up, all of a sudden, all of my friends fessed up that they really should be eating healthier and going to places that don't allow smoking and doing this and that. They should all exercise more. Everybody was secretly having all these habits that I never knew about. And the same goes with every time I would go to graduation or something, and I would refuse to drink soda or to eat birthday cake or something. I mean, I would still marvel at the artwork, especially if somebody spent time to prepare it. Usually, nowadays, when you guys saw some of the photos that I took of all this COVID-19 history, I'll go out and look at signs of COVID-19. I love taking pictures of the sky. So when I go to these parties, a lot of time my camera does all the eating because I marvel at how all the beautiful food that people are making. But every time I bring up that I don't do this, I don't do that, all of a sudden, oh my God, we do the same. And I really think it goes to show that the food industry has really done a number to our minds to make us feel inferior for eating healthy. It takes a lot of brainwashing to. Can you imagine trying to brainwash? Let's say you were raising animals, right? And you wanted to brainwash the animal into not wanting to do something that would allow it to survive, right? Can you imagine how hard it would be to train? Imagine Pavlov's dog, right? If you tried to train it to not want to eat, right? Can you imagine how difficult it would be to condition that dog to feel that food was a dangerous substance, or that healthy foods was dangerous and that it needed to do other things instead? Anyways, but I hope after COVID-19, we won't be so ashamed of doing healthy things, right? If we can get normalized to the idea that it's normal to wash your hands and to keep a safe distance when people are coughing or sneezing, and to call in sick to work and not show up sick, right? That was a tough one for a lot of people where I used to work. Maybe the idea that, hey, I don't want to go to a smoke-filled restaurant, or maybe drinking so much soda isn't such a good idea. Maybe that won't be so shameful anymore, right? Shame on you if you're the one who's shaming people for healthy eating, right? Although that's getting rare. But 20 years ago, 10 years ago, it used to be really embarrassing to eat healthy foods. I never was embarrassed. I was an introvert to begin with, so I didn't have a concept of embarrassment, right? So that's probably why I spoke up. But shame on you if you're embarrassed for eating healthy, because by not speaking up, you're only propagating the idea that healthy eating is a taboo thing to do, right?